So RitFit upgraded from their M1, their M1 2.0, and now they have is their M2 series. What I have here today is the M2 3D Pro. You have your half rack, you have your 3D Smith machine that goes vertical and horizontal to mimic the natural path of a barbell. Then you have your stacks here that go to 154 pounds on each side with your weight horns, numerous attachments, weight storage on the back, barbell storage on the back, aluminum pulleys, the ability to add accessories, all in the system for RitFit. Could this be a right fit for you guys in your home gym? Well, stick around to find out. Hope you guys enjoy. All right, guys, so in today's video, we're covering the RitFit M2 series, and the one I have here today is their M2 3D Smith Pro. And if this video is helpful and you guys ever buy anything from RitFit, the best way to support me is go to lukesgarageGym.com. I mean, realistically, click any RitFit link on the website, and then if you buy, it gives me a small kickback. Make sure after you click any links on the website or in the description, and you put in RF Luke, you get some money back, which will put a machine like this under $3,000. So make sure you guys click that, put in the link, put in the code if you think it's the right fit, because something like this, you know, is putting RitFit more away from the budget, more mid-tier because of the different add-ons they have to this, which we'll cover. But if you guys do that, it's very supportive to the channel. Obviously supports RitFit on their innovations and journey and creating more home gym equipment, because they've been consistently innovating, and a brand that I think is one of the best in regards to taking feedback and improving products. So these videos are always very helpful for them and for you guys especially. Let's first talk about what exactly this system inquires for you guys, and then we'll go from there. So the new add-ons here, so for the M2, I would say if we start first of all on the front uprights here, what they have now is 13 gauge steel. So they went from 14 with their M1 2.0, which we have over here. Keep in mind, I have a ton of comparison content to make with the M1, the M2, all the different types of racks they have. Lots of content to come because I know they have numerous systems. So we'll continue doing that to help you guys, buyers out there, if RitFit's a right fit, which one makes the most sense. Anyways, so a 13 gauge steel, which I would say is, you know, getting closer to the light commercial grade steel, which is 12. You know, everyone out there in the home gym appreciates, you know, little upgrades in here, but 14 gauge is fine for a home gym use. But as you get closer to 13 to 12, you're getting closer to light commercial, to whereas 11, even 10 is the commercial grade level of steel for these power racks. So the uprights, you know, I'm looking right at the M1, are the exact same, except, you know, this is black. You can get it in red too. And they have the same hole sizes here. You got your holes right here that are 1 inch and about 2 inches spaced apart here. And then you have your trolley system here that has, it's numbered on the side, but you got your 16 adjustments all the way up and down this here. And you have your pop-in adjustment like this. You screw and you tighten it. And then they utilize these aluminum pulleys here that swivel throughout your movement. So if you wanted to go all the way here, towards the middle, towards the side, it swivels, which, you know, we like trolley systems that swivel and rotate with you. Well, obviously because you get consistent tension throughout the movement with the cable movement, but, you know, those type of movements where you can move back and forth. I don't know. I like systems that move with me because it's more of a natural feel for my body instead of a lot of things that are just fixed. So really, essentially, the main difference with this M2 is they have 13 gauge steel. Everything else from the holes, the hole spacing, the trolley system is pretty much the same. The design of of this right here too is a little bit different. They have like the half circles here throughout it. I will say one thing about RitFit is they have my favorite type of carabiners, which I like these black ones, and this section here on the cable system where it's just this Allen key system right here, because I cannot freaking stand those cable balls. Then you have your rubber top here, and if you do your consistent monthly maintenance of the machine using a silicone spray, this thing eventually will start to slide, and it goes right into the cable system, and it gets stuck, and it completely affects the movement. So shout out to RitFit for actually using, in my opinion, my favorite type of cable ball with this Allen key. It's easily my favorite out there for systems for the home gym. All right, so moving on to the next part of this system. So again, you have your half rack here with your functional trainer, and then we have is our Smith machine. At the end, I will talk more about attachments. Kind of just want to talk about the main features first. So this is RitFit's Smith machine. So right now, guys, this is just your traditional Smith machine that just has your vertical movements with your traditional sections here for your spotter arms here, for your different heights, which again, shout out to RitFit for consistently using these weight pegs here to put on to your Smith machine hook. I'm sorry, these weight pegs that you use to hook on the Smith machine, which I think is the safest option compared to any of those brands that use the little holes to snap in. I think it's just completely dangerous. My opinion, I've had bad experiences. It's honestly the same style as the M1. You got your pegs on both sides, which you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pegs here, so that you can obviously do is you hook this on when you guys are doing your main lifts, and then using your spotter arms here for your support, which again, Smith machines are very popular in a home gym setting for safety reasons. You know, if you're benching, you're squatting, you have to let go because you're gassed. Utilize this for safety reasons. And to be honest, I love a Smith machine. I use it all the time for, my basic squatting or benching over a barbell. That's just kind of my preference lately, especially as I get older. I like the self-spotting system. And this Smith machine is unique because of this reason right here. All right, fam. So we have here is the 3D Smith machine from RitFit. So essentially, guys, what is a 3D Smith machine? Well, these are out there in the home gym community now because people like seeing that you have your horizontal and vertical motion when you're working out. So let's just take these spotters down here and put it down here at the let's just say the second spot system right here. So if you see that this glides with you as you're doing your traditional movements like a bench, a squat, a row. And that is something that could be attractive to someone out there who honestly feels like they lack stabilizing like any of the muscles in your quads or your shoulders or your chest, or realistically, you just feel like, you want the natural bar path because you're not always wanting to just have the vertical movements of a Smith machine. That's where this comes into play. And, again, I am no expert. I'm no personal trainer, just the guy who likes to work out at home who's a middle school teacher. But I'll tell you one thing about a 3D Smith machine over just your basic one is this is way more difficult than I imagined. Because when I get on this, and let's say I want to squat, which I'll just get into this real quick. It is a lot more difficult for me to squat because someone who's been through multiple knee injuries and honestly neglected legs for 15 years, I have lacking stability in all the different stabilizer muscles in my legs. So it's definitely difficult, which kind of pushes the limits for that, which, I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie, because I just feel like as I age, I still want to continue to get stronger in my main list, but, I had setbacks. Something like this can, as rehab goes on, like it kind of trains me to bring back those stabilizer muscles and mimics the basics of a barbell squat. Because in my opinion, with something like this is just my preference, I never actually use the front uprights for anything. I like my front uprights for the functional trainer. I like my Smith machine, and then I like my storage in the back because it's too busy on this to put the J-cups, spot arms, and do that. And really, let's be real, you know, if you get a 3D Smith, you really don't need to use that much, but it is there as an option for people out there if you wanted to just bench, squat, do your rows on the front uprights, which is nice to see. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of a 3D Smith. Do you feel like, you know, the vertical and horizontal movement this offers, does that make sense to you guys? Do you think this is just a fad? Do you think there's, you know, research backed up that would make sense? But for me, using it for bench and squat, I can see, you know, a benefit to people because benching and squatting is way more difficult. And I don't think it's because I'm super weak. It's because I'm just not used to the vertical horizontal motion like that because I don't really use the basic barbells anymore. So when I'm getting on this, I'm like, whoa, it's kind of like bringing back my mind muscle memory of what I used to do when I was younger. Hey guys, so I'm going to showcase the testing phase of the Smith machine for the people out there who want to use the Smith machine for RDLs. And a common thing that I notice with these Smith machines, especially in the lower to mid-tier price range, is the fact that these still don't feel like they can go low enough for people that, you know, cannot get deep enough into the range of motion for an RDL or hip thrust. So this is something that I've started to do, and it is the easiest thing to do on the planet because you need plates for the machine. So something you already have is step on your plates so that when you're doing an RDL, you get way deeper into the stretch. If you're still not happy, like I'm getting to about halfway between my shins, I can feel it in my hammies, it feels good. But if you want to go lower, stack a 25 on each side, and you're good to go. You already have it, just use it. It shouldn't be something like this. I feel like people are torn away because of it. There's not enough information about simple ways to do this. Obviously, the company should always think about Smith machines are loved to use with hip thrusts and RDLs, but this is such a easy solution. And you would do the same thing with the bench. Line up your bench here, push the plates up. You need to stack a 25 on each side. All right, so we talked about the Smith machine. Now let's talk about the weight stacks here. So, dude, these patriotic stickers are sick. So they do have stickers on their website if you guys want to get. I know they had the pink one with the, I think it was a panther or tiger or whatever it was. They do have stickers on their website. Make sure anything you use for RitFit, use my website, click it, check out, and then use RF Luke at checkout. Support your boy. Anyways, so they have this in kilograms. They have this in pounds. So the starting weight of this, they say, is at 22 pounds. But then I guess you got to also play in the factor. You got this carriage here on top too for extra weight. But again, remind yourself that this is a 2-to-1 ratio. So when you're pulling 22 pounds up here, plus the top weight here, the carriage here, it's only half of that. So you're not pulling the feel weight of what you want. But that's why RitFit incorporates these weight horns here, which you can fit multiple 45s. I would say if you're not getting the large bumpers, if you have bumper plates, the thick 45s, you probably maybe fit 2 on this, and that's it, which, you know what? Here, I got the pink 45s here from RitFit. Let's see how many can actually fit on the side of this weight horn here before it runs out of real estate. So you got 1. I can already tell you right now it's going to get 2, and then after that, this thing's going to fall right off. So I think for anyone out there, you know, wanting to elevate your pulling movements, keep in mind bumper plates. Look at that. Take up 2 of them, take up the entire weight horn. Whereas if you get thinner plates, you know, like your handle plates, which RitFit does have, or there's a million options online, you might be able to fit almost 3 on here. Whereas with that, it's not gonna happen. Or even you still could get 245s and a 25 to elevate more weight, because with that, 245s, you're limited on that. Which I know for a fact, this could take 345s on each side, plus your entire stack for your pulley movements, which is plenty, loads of weight for this type of system here. All right, so let's talk about now the attachments that this system comes with. First of all, it comes with, honestly, one of my favorites, probably is my favorite D handles out there. These are the aluminum handles from RitFit for about 20 bucks. They're like 22 bucks on their website, but it'll be under 20 bucks using my link in my code. I plug it because support your boy, or you can get them on Amazon too. I don't have a code, but my Amazon store has these. I love these things, man. You know, the aluminum handles, you don't have a crazy amount of grip. It's a little bit more passive, but at least you have some grip. They're very inexpensive aluminum handles, which I think every single brand on the market should at least be offering these type of handles over the junk rubber handles that are just complete crap. They're crap. You know, do better. These are not very expensive, and they're a much better option than the crappy ones that other competitors have offered. So, got those. Got this, I'll get that in a second, but let me show you guys these spotter arms here. So I do like on the backside here, this beam here, I use this for storage of all your different attachments from your J-cups, your spotter arms, your dip attachments, so that it's stored out of the way. And then on the backside here, you can put is your barbells. So you can have 1, 2, 3 barbells back here too, which every single brand should take note of. The whole point of these all-in-one racks is you want to get everything you can on this and still use everything without it being too busy. That's why I do like RitFit. Shout out to them for, you know, putting this barbell storage on the backside, so it's not going to compensate using the stack, using the Smith machine. And these weight horns, you know, I know people like seeing weight horns on the side here, because with the weight horns here, you know, obviously you have to push the rack a little bit off the wall, so it does add a little bit more footprint. These are, I will say, these are nice because they just kind of come off like this, so that, you know, I guess if you don't want to put them on here, you could. You know, I've seen some people, you could do. Actually, I wonder, I'm doing this right now. You could put it here if you wanted to, or if you're like, you know what? You could put it here, but I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose. Here, if you put it right there, because then it's going to be in the way. But maybe, you know, you like putting this here because you're going to get this maybe for a superset. You're grabbing it and going. So really, realistically, obviously, most people are just going to be like, all right, Luke, I'm just going to leave these on the backside, because I feel like that's the whole point. But it's good to know that those do come off like that. These dip bars are the same as the RitFit M1. Nothing crazy, just piece of steel, black powder coat, zero grip. RitFit, I don't know, put some neuro on this, dude. Even a little bit of passive neuro on this. I do like a little bit of grip on this, especially if anyone's gonna try to go heavier, even use a weight dip belt, like a dip belt. Some neuro is better than none, but this is just straight smooth powder coat steel for the dip attachments. These spotter arms aren't really that bad. You know, you got your 1-inch holes on both sides, for if you wanted to store something, I guess. I don't know what you would really put on that, but it's nice that there's holes here, and you know, you got, you know, a little bit of pad here, and then you got obviously your piece here that would go onto your 1-inch holes right here. And then let's talk about here is your J-cups. So these are actually their newer design J-cups. These are honestly, these are pretty nice. Like, I'm not gonna lie. These J-cups are newly designed compared to the OGs of the M1. You got your, you know, your 1-inch holes here that fit on. So these uprights are like 2.3 by 2.3. So it's not 3 by 3 and it's not 2 by 2. So it's in between. So it would fit, you know, right here on the RitFit rack. Now I know people will be like, oh, Luke, what the heck, man? That's not 2 by 2. That's not 3 by 3. I can't buy other brands' attachments. Well, I mean, I get from the consumer standpoint, the people out there that are diehard in the community, they like upgrading their systems to other things out there. But it is nice that you do have 1-inch holes. Some attachments don't need 3x3, 2x2, this need 1-inch holes. So that's nice that you have a universal hole size. I'm sure RitFit could do is if they wanted to, you know, I'm not sure if they do yet or they will have like 11 gauge M2 uprights you could do, because you do have that option with the M1, getting those 11 gauge 2x2 uprights. I'm sure they could do something like that with this. Maybe do like maybe go up to 3x3, you know, 12 gauge, you know, 1-inch holes. Or, you know, RitFit is really good about taking feedback, so that's something they could do. But those are the attachments they got here. There was a curl bar that I had that I don't know where I put it, to be honest with you. Oh, here we go. I've got, pull this right here. This is the landmine attachment. If you guys want to use this landmine attachment, you got is this little you know, knob here that will tighten it if you guys wanting to use that. And then I have that curl bar. There's a video we can show. The curl bar rotates with you, which I thought was pretty cool, so that, you know, it's not in a fixed position like this one is right here at the top. Rotation's kind of nice for, you know, for your wrists, so that you're not feeling like, you know, you're stuck in that position where your wrist can't go anywhere. So I do like that. So let's come to the front here now, guys, and just talk about some attachments they have here. So this is something you can buy separately. Is their lat pull down piece for this M2, so that you have, you know, more elevation here. So you're mimicking the normal path. Well, just the vertical up and down motion of a lat pull down. Whereas when you have a trolley system here, it's kind of more an angle, which is, well, just think about a lat pull down machine, and lat pull downs, it's more designed to hit that muscle when it's in up and down motion. So they do have this to offer on their website. And then you'll notice here at the bottom, they also have, which I'll pull this up here. You guys can see is they have their lat seat right here too. You can get, so you guys got your different adjustments here on the pad for you guys. You know, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 adjustments here. And then I just got this thing so freaking tight. There we go. I got this in the second adjustment frame, which is perfect for, you know, my height. And then you're able to sit here and grab for your extensions. You know, I got this trolley. If you guys can see, I'll pull the camera. You guys can see I have the trolley at its lowest position. I have the seat at its lowest position, because if I go any lower, it's gonna hit that pulley wheel right there. So this is the lowest I can get it, guys. And then I can do is real quick show you, you know, how it works for me. You know, I just got, you know, weight. I got the full stack there. So again, this is a 2-to-1 ratio, and I still get a full stretch here. I do want to talk about the cable length and just a couple things with that, but I'll do my pros and cons at the end. But then this is nice for the folks that want to get that full stretch and what a lat pull down should feel like with that vertical up and down motion. Keep in mind, I am 6 foot. You know, my weight really probably doesn't matter, but I'm 210. So I still can grab this, and my arms are fully stretched, well, fully, I say stretched, fully, you know, to where a point where I can actually get a full range of motion with this cable length. But that's something I do want to mention, because anyone who's taller than me, it's going to be an issue. Also want to mention as well, guys, this right here is for your rows. You know, all you do is you can sit right here, you drop down the trolley, and you can do your rows right here. Hold your feet there. You know, it supports you, and it's got this this pin. If you wanted to, you know, take this off or rotate this, you could easily do that. But you know, this is a very basic piece here that gets the job done for the people out there who are wanting to do rows, which, you know, it works just fine. You know, gives plenty of support, and I don't see, you know, you're putting on 245s on each side, doing the full stack. It'll work out good, which we'll do that at the end. We'll get a little crazy with, you know, the cable system, which is my favorite. You're not gonna see me doing much on bench, but we'll do that for the testing. And then the landmine over here too, you guys can see, if you're wanting to do landmine movement, you can put your bar here and then give a little bit more of the functionality and versatility of this machine. And then they have their band pegs on both sides over here. If you guys wanting to put bands here, put it on the barbell for any banded squat or bench. If you're wanting to do the 3D Smith, or if you want to just to, you know, put this here and put this back to just a vertical movement, you could do that as well. So you can see this system does offer a lot of versatility, a lot of functionality, and a lot of new things that they added to this. And I think the next part important, talk about testing, have a little fun testing it. I'll give you my pros and cons, and at the end, you guys can let me know what your thoughts are. All right, guys, so for the first test I'm gonna do is show off the pulley system with the lat pull-down piece. Now, there's been B-roll throughout the whole thing of the features and me using it, but it's always good to do some live testing in videos like this. So I'm gonna do is just start with just obviously using what's on this. So again, I have this at 154 pounds, 2-to-1 ratio, plus you got the weight peg on the top here. And I mean, this is something that, you know, with the full stretch, I could probably do this, I mean, realistically, 50 times. I will say one thing, RitFit's pulley systems are very smooth. You know, I do think with these aluminum pulleys that you do use nice bearings so that it's a consistent, smooth feel throughout the movement. It's not feeling like it's kind of stuck. You know, I will say one thing, you know, before I put on more weight, spray the crap out of these guy rods before you start using it, because you don't, it's gonna stick. Like what I noticed is too, it's kind of like the carriage over there where just the stack in general was kind of shaking back and forth as I was going down. It's because it wasn't lubricated, so it was causing extra tension. Make sure you do that. All right, so I'm gonna grab some 45s. I'll just use, for this video, I'm just gonna use I guess I'll just use the 45 here on each side. And then I have some 25s that are really thin that I could use just for the testing, just to show it. Just remember what I talked about these bumpers, but it's just for now, just for some live testing. So we'll start with the plate on each side. So we got 90 plus pin on the bottom of the stack here. What we're gonna do is just do a couple reps. I have my mic here so you guys can hear how it sounds. 2. Smooth, dude. Smooth. All right, let's do is we'll put on some 25s on each side. All right, and let's see how this sounds. We've got these thinner HVO 25s. We're gonna put here on this side, and I'll grab the other one. We'll put it on this side here. So now we have 45s and 25s on both sides for lat pull out. All right, so, woo! Now that's getting hard. That's getting a lot harder. Now, I will say, could probably do 12, and like the 12th rep, I'm extremely gassed. Been working out for over 20 years. So in a lat pull down, the most I've ever done, my peak strength while I was in college was like 280. And you got 90 plus 50, so 140 plus, you know, half of 150 for, you know, you do the math. That's English teacher, not a mathematician. It's a good amount of weight. Let's go one step further. Let's put some 10s on. I got my RitFit bumpers. Let's put 10 more pounds, 20 more pounds on each side, just to show how much weight these things you can get on this thing. So you got your bumpers, your thin 25s, your thin 10s. Let's see what we can do here for this exercise. All right, here we go. Full stretch. Squeeze it. 1, 2, 3. 2. Full stretch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Woo! It's a good amount of weight. Shows that this cable system can really be put to the test. This is realistically around the weight that I use on this, which I've been using this machine once a week for 3 months because I lifted in this basement once a week, and I'm always elevating these lifts. and putting a decent amount of weight, so it shows the weight capacity that something like this can take on the pulley system, especially even if you don't end up getting this, you're still doing your lat pull down from here. You can still do a decent amount of weight, even if you're lining up your bench here, if you don't get this either. Now with these hip thrusts, guys, you know, I'm gonna do is just get my 35 here, because I need to get a little bit higher elevation with this based off of my height, how I am. And that's the thing about everyone's heights and body types are different. So I'm 6 foot, so I like to get a little bit of height like this. I've seen people do is buy those landmine platforms or those row platforms. Tight Fitness sells one to stand up on this. So I got it elevated, the lowest point, just ready to go, lined up, locked out, ready to go. Obviously I don't have weight on the right side, but that's all right, because I'm just showing you. I don't need to go much deeper, man. My back don't like that. Oh, I feel it a lot in my freaking butt. So that's a hack, guys. They even have it on their website. They have like that foam step up you could put here. Very inexpensive way to use it. Line up your bench. You're good to go. Inexpensive way to hack through these Smith machines like this, which are very common in the mid to budget price range. All right, so the next test I want to do is benching. So we have is our 3D Smith here. Now, if you could see, it's still, you're able to slide this and still the plates aren't in the way right now, which, you know, it's something I'll talk about in a second here. Because think about if you were to go any lower, might be a little bit of an issue, but I'm doing an incline bench here. It'll be fine. All right. So we'll just do, I know people will love this. We're just going to get some 35s for right now. Just put it on each side so you guys can see how this is set up. All right. So here, let's get this. All right. Okay. So we got 35. Oh, shit. All right. So we got 35 on each side. I don't usually clip it like this for right now. I don't think it's going to fall off, but if you put on more weight, you should probably put on some clips that they do offer. Now, one thing that I will say about this 3D Smith is I always try to do is I try to set myself up where I'm more towards the backside, and that way I can get enough horizontal movement as I'm getting my vertical movement, because I want to make sure you're getting a 3D Smith. You want to make sure you're getting both at the same time, or, I mean, what's the point of having a 3D Smith? All right, here we go. Smooth linear bearings. That's the sound of linear bearings, not the sound of destruction. That's what a Smith machine sounds like. Ugh. All right, rack that up. So there's just a start. All right, so let's put HVO 25, RitFit 10 on this. And we'll do the same for the other side. Just show a little bit more weight on this thing. See how this thing moves, how it sounds throughout it. I think it's important. I know people I heard a comment on an ad saying, my guy Matt, who's hopefully watching this, who works for RitFit, who is one of the nicest guys and a solid representative of RitFit. He made a video, and the guy's like, bro, like, what? These guys make these videos, and they don't put it to where you can't hear anything. Okay, you want to hear how linear bearing sounds? Here you go. Again, I have this set up to where I have the Smith all the way at the back side, so that when I push off, it's able to slide back and forth horizontally enough throughout it to where it's not just hitting the backside. Okay, you'll see this is a lot more difficult. Oh, okay, here we go. All right, two more. lie, it's freaking smooth. It is. Hey guys, I just want to throw some numbers at you again with just the basic specs, because I'm not going to lie, I can't memorize all this. There's just too much. You know, I teach middle school English, and I just like to work out. Numbers are usually not my specialty. I know how to use words. So, joking aside. So, just real quick, guys, some of the specs here. So, the rack is 47 by 76, and then 68 by 75. And then the height of this is 86 inches, which is perfect for really garage gym, basement gyms. 8-foot ceilings in basements. You're good to go. All right. And then just a couple other basic things. Footprint, this takes about 22.8 square foot total. The Smith bar is just like the M1's 33 pounds. And they say that the maximum weight this entire rack can hold, from all the plates you have on it to what you're using with it, could take 2,000 pounds, which never going to get to that point. I don't really think anybody is. We talk about the pulley handles. So it says that the single side pulley system static load is 352. That's a ton. I'm not even ever going to get close to that. I don't know anybody that is. I don't think I've ever even done, what did I say? It was 270 or 280 for a lat pull down. That was my PR. So that's good to hear for everyone at all the different fitness levels. The pull-up bar up here, which actually, guys, real quick, this pull-up bar, it's got some knurl. It's got your different, your wide grip to neutral grip. It's got a little bit of knurl here. It is a nice upgraded feature from the M1. I do like your different grips from wide to narrow. A little bit of knurl up here, which I think you can add knurl to everything. I think that's important. A little bit of knurl goes a long way for grip strength. It's just gripping things, especially in a garage. Humidity is an issue. Dehumidifier is your best friend. Sometimes even in a basement, so knurl is always nice to have, even if it's passive. Anyways, so a couple other things I want to mention, guys, is the dip bars back here. It says the static load of a single dip bar is 330 pounds. So I'm 210. So if I wanted to put 100 pounds on my waist, a single side could take that. So Fat Boy can still do some dips. Fat Boy, I'm just being stupid, but I did have Domino's last night. Anyways, the J-hooks, the newly designed J-hook says 330 pound static load. Let me tell you something about RitFit is I see some of these budget brands on Amazon that say, our stuff can take 1,000 pounds. And it's just like AI generated videos. I know for a fact this brand actually tested this. And it's actually what it does. This is one of the only brands that I've noticed, which I notice a lot more doing. Shout out to them. They're testing things and posting about it, but it's just, I feel confident that this is actually what it can take. So shout out to RitFit for continuing to be honest of what your rack can do and not lying to the people. A lot of this is stuff we've already talked about, guys, but that's kind of just the basics of the attachments of what can it take. So let me know what you think of that. I want to do pros and cons, wrap this up, and then you guys have to let me know what you think of this piece from RitFit. So let's talk about pros. Let's talk about cons. The pros of this rack. Well, number one, it is extremely versatile. You can do anything you want and more. Cable systems, landmine, Smith machine, 3D Smith machine option with this, or you don't have to get it, or you can just do vertical movements by pinning that. They say with the 3D Smith machine, it's nice to know that you don't have to just do the 3D Smith action of the vertical to horizontal movements. You can just pin that and do your vertical movements, so it gives the variety and versatility. But I do think, guys, the 3D Smith machine, there's a lot of benefit to the stabilizer muscles, especially a guy with me who's had a ton of knee injuries, is trying to get back to even a third of what I used to be able to do for legs. So, a Smith machine like that mimics more of a bar path, which could add a lot of benefit to people out there in the home gym space. So again, it is expensive. If you get the 3D option with the stacks, this thing's almost $3,000. If you use, my link at RF Fluke, it gets it under $3,000, which puts this all-in-one system more in the mid-tier market with RitFit, where, a lot of their stuff that I reviewed is more budget tier, like the M1 2.0. That's usually under $2,000. So it's an upgraded system. So you got to ask yourself, having a little bit more weight on the stacks up to 154 and the 3D Smith and the 13 gauge steel, ask yourself if those upgrades are worth you spending $850 more. I guess you got to ask yourself if it's worth it, or if it's not, look at the RitFit M1 2.0 reviews I've done. That's more of just your vertical up and down Smith with your stacks to go to 133 pounds. The pull bar is a little bit of a downgrade, but a lot of it's pretty similar, but the 14 gauge steel uprights that comes with it, but you could add the 11 gauge down the line. So I'm not sure if that was a pro or con, but let's talk about cons and then we'll go from there. So the cons are, I like to just say feedback because I think RitFit's a good brand and they're all about taking things and working on things. So just things feedback for RitFit from this type of rack. The first thing is I shout out to my boy Matt. I was talking to him. So when I put these spotter arms here, and I'm not even gonna show you because it's just word of mouth, you know, with the length of my arms, and if I were to do like a flat bench, it doesn't, these hooks here are not spaced enough for me to be able to like rack it. Like it's stuck on my chest. So I feel like I'm like, you know, like, is it gonna kill me? So essentially what I'm trying to say is I do think, you know, something that, you know, they could do for the future upgrading these machines is adding more pegs to this, you know, getting it to where like these are so spaced out. I don't know if you can do it to where you can design this, make this the rack a couple inches taller so that you can add, you know, another peg in between each of these so that you're not having that issue of it, you know, if you're trying to rack it, you know, you don't have issues of your arms. Essentially what I'm trying to say is everyone's arm lengths, you can rack it, you can stack it, rack it up and use the spotters without feeling like you're stuck. You can't get out because that's the whole point of a Smith machine is, you know, making sure when you're racking this, you don't have that issue. But something that Matt out there, my boy out there's already listened to. And then the other thing that I wanted to notice is about this pull down piece is kind of separate, is this cable is way too long. Thankfully I still get a decent stretch, but this is something they could take out of the book of Fringe Sport. And their new attachment is they give you cable clips, and then you can clip the cable length to your desired length of your body. So RitFit would do is just offer the cable clipping, and then you clip it to exactly what you need. They just have a standard cable length so that if it's too long, you can clip it. So it fits everybody. Whereas you don't have to worry about sending shorter ones, longer ones. Everyone can clip it to their exact measurements. I think that is a genius idea from Fringe Sport, and I know for a fact, you know, Fringe is more than welcome to welcoming RitFit to having that kind of idea too. I think that's genius. I saw it the other day. I'm like, dude, RitFit needs to do the same for that cable. You know, shout out to my guy PJ from Design and Lift. One thing you'll notice is with this trolley, if you bring this trolley up here, it'll get stuck into the bracket here. So you can't. Let's say if you wanted to, you know, take this clip off and you put it to the side, this gets stuck up here, so you can't go to the highest point of the top of the trolley here. And I do think, like the accessory wise, it'd be nice to have it, again, taking a note from Fringe, this, you can just remove this so it's not bolted. You can just, literally all you have is just like a pin, 2 pins up here that are strong. It can take it and you just pin it and take it off and on so it's not already stuck into your system here, and then you can use the trolleys normally without having to get it jeopardized if you buy this. But again, if it's not a big deal to you because, you know, really only missing one section up here for this, it could be something that's not the end of the world. And then when you take off this right here, guys, I usually just wrap it around up there and just store it to the side. Or like my guy PJ said too in his video, is you can get a hook back there on Amazon. I actually have the same ones. Just hook it back there on the side. I mean, that's kind of my thoughts. I've had this for 3 months. Used it probably 20 times. I think this is a mid-tier rack, but it's a rack that will last you the rest of your life. It will be under $3,000, under $3K. You know, if you click the links on my website, use my code. Gotta help your boy. Always say it. It's under $3,000. More of a mid-tier rack. If you're like, that's too expensive for me, it's not my budget, check out my reviews on the RitFit M1 2.0. That rack's, you know, usually around 2K for all of that too. I think that's kind of my thoughts right now, where my head's at. Really excited. I'm gonna do a ton of comparisons of all their different racks. I have a lot of their equipment. Anything they new that they get in, I'm gonna review for you guys throughout the year, because there's a brand that offers a lot of new products and innovation, and I think they're a brand that's gonna be here for a long time. So let me know what you guys think of this video, and I can't wait to bring you more content soon with RitFit, Luke's Garage Gym. It's Luke for Luke's Garage Gym. See you guys later.